710-1334 on Reddit, Galactic Geo on Twitter, Sin1334 on PSN.
My name is DesignationG.
I'm known as Xaine, aka Xaine's World.
My username is Silvet.
I'm Ardy Alligan.
My name is MrJordanMurphy.
I don't expect anything from anyone except that they follow the naming guidelines if they're uploading new systems, and that they enjoy themselves.
Just general respect. Respect for each other and respect for the space in general. And keeping up the naming conventions. Just stuff like that that helps everyone as a whole.
Firstly, when they arrive to the hub, they should register in the census so that we know how many players we have in the hub.
New players should also look at subscribing to our subreddit, as well as joining our Discord and Facebook groups, subscribing to our YouTube channel, and following us on Twitter.
I'd like to see new interlopers check out the civilization that's been built. Not just New Lenin, but the amazing PvP arenas that Kibbles and others have built. I'd love to see new players help Hoover and more citizens, and also to participate in events such as races and new colonies. I'd also like new players to consider applying for the Galactic Hub Defense Force after they've gotten the feel of the area.
There's also quite a bit of information on the wiki, so it's worth reading through that to see if there's any activities that they're interested in participating in.
So a way a new player could contribute to the hub is just simply sharing things you found. One of the main things that the hub's able to provide to people is being able to easily find other players' discoveries if they share the coordinates. It's always just going to be a jump or two away. So cool ships, cool animals, cool planets. Just put the coordinates on Reddit or Discord or Facebook or whatever way you're using to interact with the community, and that's pretty much one of the biggest ways you can contribute.
For example, build bases, share them with people. When you build farms, share them with people. When you find a cool ship, share it with someone.
Absolutely updating anything for the wiki, documenting planets, documenting fauna. That's the most meaningful way, in my opinion, to preserve the hub digitally and communicate what the hub is to other people who may not be here yet.
Hope not. I just relocated the hub capital in Hilbert from the next location, and it would be a shame to have to do that again.
Because when we moved from the Atlas Rises hub to the next generation hub, we changed the system tag so that there's nothing in the system tag that describes anything on the planet itself. It's just its location in space. So they should still be the same come if there's any universal reset. So at the moment, we're not expecting to have to relocate.
At this point, we don't intend to ever relocate the civilization again. Can't say for sure that we never will, but barring any extenuating circumstances, we're staying right here.
If there is a huge change with the update that affects our area of space, then obviously that's something we'll reconsider at the time. The idea of mapping the regions that make up the Galactic Hub has been discussed before and suggested by someone that was willing to undertake the project. Unfortunately, it didn't go ahead in the end, but it's still an idea that we are open to. Mapping out 11 regions in space is a huge undertaking, so it's not something that we're expecting to happen anytime soon, but if there is anyone interested in taking on such a project, we would happily work with them to see if we can make it happen.
So personally, I'd be pretty surprised if there's nothing in the online portion of the Beyond update that doesn't help civilizations in some way. I don't really know. I don't really have in my mind what they could be adding, but I'd be surprised if there wasn't something that kind of helps us out in some way.
From the media that we've all seen on Beyond, it looks like that there's going to be a whole lot more multiplayer options, and I think opening that up is going to allow people to come together with others more easily, and this game is much more fun when you're playing with other people.
yeah, I think civilizations are going to be a huge thing, whether it's part of the online Pillar 1 of Beyond, or whether it's part of Pillar 3, which they've yet to announce. I definitely think civilizations are going to get something in this. Even if it's just like a very rudimentary sort of guild system, that could be exceptionally useful.
Especially with the Atlas website that Hello Games set up, which was a huge emphasis on civilizations.
I think, considering we already know that part of the update is going to be No Man's Sky Online, that there's really no question that civilizations are going to be a central part of this upcoming update, and I'm very excited for that. More intelligent fauna, multi-swords. Multi-swords maybe not so realistic. Fauna, my hopes are high.
Oh, I definitely think multi-swords are a possibility, especially with the inclusion of motion controllers. Now, I'm not saying that it's guaranteed, but I definitely think it's something that isn't ruled out at this moment in time. I think variation would be something that is probably more likely.
I want to see civilization, I want to see guild systems, something to not so much replace what we've got now, not at all replace in fact, but augment what we have already made as individual players. I also think that last pillar needs to have content. So far we've had features. We need some big content that is going to be, whether it's a big storyline, whether it's just extra things to do. We need stuff like more building parts, stuff like that. I'm hopeful, but not too hopeful.
I would love to see some attention given to freighters. Their inventory capacities are so silly. You know, to have a backpack that holds more stuff than a freighter is pretty strange, and it doesn't make sense. I'd also like to see freighters be able to warp significantly farther than the small ships. They have, I would assume they would have vastly more fuel if they were real, and could therefore go farther. I farm on my freighter, so I'd like to see windows in the Bay Area. You know, I'm kind of beyond the grinding stage, but in that phase, I felt sort of like I was, kind of cooped up in that stage of the game because I was farming to craft stasis devices and fusion igniters, and just to be able to see outside, see the planets and stuff would be, I think, really neat from the actual Bay Area. I'd like to be able to save my game from the freighter bay. Running down to the hangar to jump in and out of your ship is dumb. I don't like that. Frigates are kind of weird. They're empty. They feel so eerie, and I'd like to see NPCs doing things on the frigates that you can interact with. Like, I don't feel like as a fleet commander I should be having to fix an airlock. I want to be able to interact with an NPC aboard a frigate and have them do it. Have people for that. Hopefully, that's what if I had an actual fleet, I would think that I would.
So this is very much a personal thing, but as a user who's had the launch PS4 since 2013, I'd really like if they could put in some kind of heavy optimization update. I know with VR coming, that's a possibility. And I know on one hand, you can only optimize a game for a nearly 7-year-old piece of hardware so much, but personally, I'd really love an optimization update, but I'm equally excited for the other three pillars of the Beyond update.
I believe we do have some pins to that effect. It's mostly Andy who hires the whole physical media side of the hub, physical products. So I can't speak to that in detail myself, but I believe he does have some pins, or some plans rather, to start making some generic No Man's Sky pins.
Yeah, Andy is definitely working on something. It's too early to talk about it at this present time, but you should all be very excited. Andy's done a phenomenal job and knocked it out of the park with the current Galactic Hub and Federation pins. Quality's fantastic, so I'm expecting great things for what he's working on next. Hopefully, I would like to see a GHDF pin in the future. It's not something we're currently working on, but who knows, if there's enough interest, it may be something that we do.
That's a good question. So the hub, I like it to be a shared experience from one player to the next. So I would say building with mods is acceptable, but you should try to avoid it if you can. If there's something that you really want to do and you can only do it with mods, then by all means do it. But if you think you can do it without mods, so people wouldn't need to install anything special to see what you're seeing, then that would be preferable.
Just be aware that only you see it that way. If there's any parts at all that the mod adds that aren't already in the game, then no one but you is going to see it, even if they have the mods too, because the game won't upload those modded items to the servers to be shown to everyone else. So only you'll be able to see them. The only mods that would benefit you as well as everyone else for visual would be mods that just affect the way you can build. So ones that allow you to place things in a different way and such. New Lenin is a really it's got diplos, it's got the nice grass, the water. It's excellent planet.
It was definitely a result of the dedicated player base that participated in the ARC program.
What that was is we had a bunch of players go to where the next hub would be in advance of the public, and so we had a couple of dozen players mapping out every single star system in that entire region. So we had at least above 20 people. I can't exactly remember the exact number. So we had a large amount of people mapping out every planet. So really, the way we found the perfect planet is just sheer numbers. We had a lot of people looking for the right planet. So that's kind of how we found out.
We had a vote, and New Len was decided.
All I did on that was vote on what I thought looked pretty cool. The key to finding an amazing capital planet is essentially just like having really good people who will search and know what to look for, have some good sense for style, and it is a fantastic capital planet.
So there's no trick, there's no secret. It's just plain old dragnet searching, just going by the numbers, praying to the random number generator or RN gods, you know. The only thing I would say is lush planets are more common in yellow systems. I believe they're most common in yellow. Equal between blue and green systems, and least common in red systems. Of course, that doesn't mean they can't appear in red systems, so bottom line is, you just have to search, you have to land on every planet, you have to scan all the fauna, and that's much harder now that the white spawn dots don't appear, in my opinion. But it's doable, and that's what we did.
Yes, I most definitely am. VR is definitely something I want to be getting into, especially with a game like No Man's Sky that will be coming with VR capabilities. Not only that, when it comes to the new Valve Index, which I have reserved, but not yet fully committed to getting because it's freaking expensive. Their new controllers and such, which allow for so much more than previous, I'm super excited for it.
Probably one of the few players that currently uses my PSVR headset with No Man's Sky as it is. Even though it's in 2D, it's amazing to see the game on such a large screen, so I'm definitely looking forward to seeing it with fully supported VR functionality.
Well, I personally don't own a VR headset, but I have a friend who does, so I'll borrow it from him. And if I take a liking to No Man's Sky VR, I'll purchase a headset for myself.
It's actually going to be my first virtual reality experience. I've never even tried like a demo for VR or anything. So I do know there's supposed to be some time that it takes your brain to adapt, but I'm just going to push that nip and give my brain no choice.
Maybe, I don't know. I'm kind of old, and when I first started playing this game, you know, flying around in the ship, like gave me kind of like a seasick feeling, you know. So I'm not sure how VR would feel. I would like to check it out for sure.
So me personally, no, I'm not planning on playing VR anytime soon. I'll see if there's a next gen port for No Man's Sky, then maybe I'll think about it. But personally, VR isn't really on the cards for me.
So initially, the Galactic Hub Council was formed in our first relocation to advise me on initially what would be a good idea during the relocation, and after what would be a good idea in general when it came to governing a civilization. So I would say, is this a good idea? And the members of the council would say, yes, I think it's a good idea for this reason, or no, I think it's a bad idea for these reasons. And I would take their advice into consideration, but the advice has no direct, I shouldn't say bearing, but it's not within the purview of the council to decide Galactic Hub policy. That falls solely to me. And I believe that's the most efficient way to handle it, and I believe it's been a successful way to handle it so far for the civilization. But over time, as I've had less and less time to play No Man's Sky, I've given the council more and more responsibilities. So although it's not an inherent part of being a council member, for example, I've appointed MrJordanMurphy as our media officer. So he controls basically the entire side of the YouTube channel. I do very little when it comes to the YouTube channel. He also is a security officer. And as I mentioned earlier, Andy handles all the physical media. We have Silvet doing reposts all over different boards, so he's representing the Galactic Hub in an official capacity by reposting what we might post on Reddit that gets missed out on other websites. Let's see what other officer positions. Oh, we have Kibbles, No Man's Sky NMS Kibbles in the Star League officer position. So he handles the majority of the Star League. I'm a little more directly involved with that just because it's my most recent kind of pet project, but officially he's mostly in charge of that, especially the day-to-day operations. So the council, its purpose is still officially to advise me, but over time they've gained more and more responsibilities in a more individual capacity, and that's a pattern we can probably expect to see continue into beyond, as the civilization will probably require more and more management as it becomes more complex, and as I unfortunately have just less time to play No Man's Sky these days, but get it in where I can.
A bureaucracy that gets stuff done. None of the bad things that you generally, bad connotations you generally have with a bureaucracy, where it takes them far too long to do anything with loads of red tape. Things get discussed, ideas are brought forward. We got a lot of amazing people in the council.
Every single one of those members works extremely hard, and I'm very proud of all of the work that they do, and I'm grateful to be a part of it with them. My favourite thing about the Galactic Hub is obviously the community. The community is phenomenal. It's one of the greatest in gaming, if not the greatest.
I know it's the stereotypical answer, but the community aspect of it. The game was, or the hub, sorry, was really providing a good sense of joint exploration before any of the multiplayer features were really properly introduced into the game. I love being able to just go onto the subreddit and see, oh, here's some cool thing. I can just go right there and get it myself, or that's a really nice ship. I don't have to kind of look for that myself anymore. I can just go to that place and buy that.
As a pretty much organic version of a Corvax, my favourite part about the hub is just the discovery, documentation, organisation. Just I love that stuff. Just the sense of trying to work things out and just see where we can push boundaries. I love that kind of thing. That's what keeps me constantly motivated to do things in No Man's Sky. Just working out how things work and just finding the best things out there.
I guess traveling around with friends and checking out things that they have found in the hub and taking people to places that I found that I like a lot. I like establishing or helping establish new colonies such as Mount Loper and on the hub planet of Coily. Very much like working with my fellow interlopers on the Defense Council as well.
I think sustainability and adaptability is such a huge thing about the Galactic Hub. It has evolved and changed since its first inception, but has always stayed true to what its original directives were.
Very good question, a little difficult to answer. It's hard for me to pinpoint one specific part of the community, which would be my favorite. The community itself is my favorite, really, just the entirety of the experience that we've created together and that I've been lucky enough to be able to direct is it's amazing. But if I had to pinpoint one aspect of it, it would have to be the creative endeavors which spring out of the hub. So the graphic arts that people make, the graphic design, everything from recruitment flyers to, just drawings of their own characters or whatever it may be. The YouTube videos people make, like I love the Galactic Hub call center videos. huge fan. That's one of my favorite parts of the whole Next era, was seeing those videos come to fruition. What else? Other good examples of creativity. Obviously the bases. People build incredible bases, and I love visiting those as I get to see them sort of from their perspective, and then get to see them myself in person in a digital sense. That's incredible, and it gives a real sense of community and shared identity. So it's probably, just the creativity of the hub community, if I had to, still a broad category, but I'd say that's my favorite part.